It's go time. Let's go. I gotta get my mic here in front of me. There we go. Mic set. Switch the screen over. Let's go. Live from Tolono, Illinois. You know, I guess you out-of-towners, you out-of-staters don't know really the difference. What's the difference between Tolono, Illinois and Champaign, Illinois? Just sounds different to me, though. Going live here from the basement of the house in downtown Tolono, we'll say, a booming metropolis of about 1,000 people. Maybe there's 2,000 in Tolono. I don't know. Tiny little town. High school, Unity Rockets. We're in the middle of wrestling season right now. Just got this new gear, new swag tonight from the wrestling coach. Thank you, Coach Patton. Love it. Looks good. Our high school is about 550 students. Welcome, everybody, to the live show. My name's Nate. I'm a high school football coach here in Illinois, right in the middle of Illinois. Been coaching high school football for 20 seasons. 20 seasons. We just finished season number 20. I was a safeties coach. We were unbeaten. Let's go. Unbeaten. It was a really fun year, actually. You guys that follow know that you kind of followed along with us. I had a lot of fun. Again, I coach safeties, but I have a hard time not just watching my son on a Friday night. It's hard. It's difficult. Welcome, everyone, to the live show. We've got a special guest tonight, Micah Hunsaker, out of American Fork High School, Utah. Coach Hunsaker's the OC out there, and American Fork is repeatedly in Max Prep's top 10 of Utah schools. They're in the state title game in 2018, in the state title game in 2019. And what's most unique about their offense is the fact that they throw the ball over 500 times a year. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. It's a crazy number. But they're hard to stop, man. And that is the most important thing. What is it that you guys in the chat, what keeps you guys from throwing the ball 500 times? You know, I heard somebody say, first of all, welcome Coach Ribeiro out of Brazil. Welcome Coach Campos out of Southern Illinois, Carbondale to be specific. That's where SIU is, Southern Illinois University. Anybody else in the chat tonight? Anybody else just getting here? Be sure to check in. Let us know where you're watching from. I heard some guy, who was it? I hear it many ways. What's up, Coach Allball out of Georgia? I hear guys talk about, and I buy into it when they're like, balance is 50-50. And then I hear other coaches, and I buy into it when they say balance is, what did they say? Like, it's being hard to stop. It doesn't matter. It's being able to take what they give you, right? So, like, if we throw it 50 times a game, we throw it 50 times a game. Doesn't mean you're not balanced. It means you're capable of taking advantage of what they're not giving, or what they're giving you, right? That's not me talking. This is just things I hear other coaches say. And again, I can get behind both arguments. You ever do that? Like, you go to a clinic and you sit in on the presentation and like you're totally in. You may not switch to that, but you're totally in. Like, everything they're saying is making sense. You can make sense of a lot of ways to play this game. Well, welcome everybody. Let's go get Coach Hunsaker in the house, and we'll just start talking ball right away. Again, welcome everybody. When you get here, be sure to check in and let us know where you're watching from. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I got to nobody can see you, Coach Hunsaker. Okay. Not yet, anyway.
Okay, no worries.
All right, switching over. There he is. Now they got you, Coach Hunsaker. Welcome.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here. Excited.
Man, hey, looking good in that nice cut-off hoodie.
Hey, that's right, yeah. Hey,
tell me the truth, though. Now that you're a grown man, do you skip leg day?
I do not.
You don't?
I don't want to look stupid. I may not go as heavy as I used to go.
Yeah, that's smart.
I got to do the maintenance,
Yes.
Got to keep them going. They got to carry the body, so.
Good for you. Good for you. That's we used to always say, hey, friends don't let friends skip leg day.
That's right.
Because you can tell. You can tell the dude just skips leg day, right? When it's just all arm day.
I don't want to look like that.
Well, Coach Hunsaker is the OC at American Fork High School, one of the Max Prep's top 10 teams out of Utah. and played in the state title game 2 of the last 3 years, and they sling the rock. Last night, Coach Hunsaker and I sat and we chatted about like day one install, right? And first of all, welcome Rob SG. Greetings from Brazil. We got 2 Brazilian coaches in the house tonight, Coach Hunsaker. Welcome, awesome. Guys. We're glad to have you. And Coach, you gave us you had a ton of great answers. Loved a ton of it. But I have to say, I feel like you gave us some good democratic answers sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Most good coaches know how to say the right thing that won't get them into trouble. So my job tonight is to push a little bit more and see if we can get past the basics, right? It's not easy, right? Yeah. You gave us a lot of good stuff, and I get it. Every coach is good at that. Coach Manuela in the house. What's up, man?
Yes, sir.
He go by Coach Manu?
Yeah, we call him Coach Manu.
Coach Manu.
Coach Manny.
Okay. Welcome. And you guys, Coach Manuela and Coach Stevens' wide receiver presentation just dropped on the clinic last night. They did a great job. Great job, Coach Manuela. You can tell Coach Stevens the hardest work in editing their footage was that when Manuela came in, I had to adjust so the camera was up, and then Stevens would come in, and I had to bring that camera back down.
He'll love to hear that.
So that was the hardest thing about my editing job for that video, but it was great to hear. Hey, are you guys? You're in the middle of spring football right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we are. We go about twice a week right now. A lot of our kids are playing other spring sports, and so it's nothing major. Really, we treat it like an install. To be honest, we have no pads. Twice a week, we go for a total of 10 practices. Last night, we finished up practice number 7. So we got 3 more left in ours in spring, and then by the end of the month, we'll be rolling into like 7-on-7 tournaments, that type of stuff. And then camp, we have our official summer camp towards the end of June as well. So this is all about trying to install, get us ready for those big things in June.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're talking install tonight. Anybody who has any questions as they come up, do not hesitate to throw those questions into the chat. I'll get to them if we can. Hey, Dirk Stevens in the house. What's up, Coach Stevens? Welcome. He says, story of my life. Hey, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. So here's what I want to know. So I love you guys' concept of the families. Tell everybody about, you said there were 6 passing families?
Yes. Yeah, we have
Tell us what your passing families are.
Okay, so first one I'll go in order, basically how we installed them this year. Practice 1, we go over what we call the curl flat family. So all concepts that, basically end in the curl area or the flat area. And we installed, I'm looking at my sheet right here, we installed 4 of those different concepts. And then practice 2, we put in what we call the snag family, which is exactly that, right? Snag routes, and we have different variations of how we run snag. Some people call it spot, or spacing, but we call it snag. And we put in 5 different, a lot of them, it's just a little tweak on one route here and there, but ultimately they're similar in that we're going to have a snag, we're going to have a flat read, probably going to have a corner, or then we can switch it up. We can turn a corner into a dig, or, those type of things. So that's the second family we put in. The third one is we call smash family, which is essentially that. It's any concept that's a high-low on the outside, right? So whether it's the traditional corner and a hitch, or whether it's, a knot, a streak from the outside and a 5-yard out, like some people call it Omaha, whatever you want to call those concepts. But that's our smash family. We put in about 4 or 5 of those in as well. And then the next one is we call level family, and I briefly mentioned this one last night, is stuff that we're basically reading down the middle of the field. It's, post, dig, shallow, seam, dig, shallow, or arrow. So we're reading that middle of the field kind of from the top down in levels. That's why we call it that. And then the last 2, we got one we call vertical, the vertical family, which is essentially we're trying to attack the outside, this is R4 terminology, but outside vertical tubes. So our number one receivers, out there near the sideline, the numbers area. So you get your four verts, you get your quick outs there, that's where we're trying to attack in those concepts. So take advantage of how they're playing us outside on our receivers. And then the last one is what we call a spacing, or like an object family, which really is like the old school key read stuff, right? Like where you have stick routes or, hitches, and you're just trying to read off of a force defender, those type of players, right? And so again, same type of stuff. We just have little variations, whether it's outs, a couple outs together, or all hitches in a seam, just, those type of things. And those are the families. And so every passing concept we have, we filter it into one of those families. And each year we kind of see which concepts we're using the most of those, right? So, some of them I may have up to 8 or 9 different concepts I like in that family, but we're not going to carry all those. Typically we'll install about 4 to 5 in the beginning. And then if there's another one that we like during the season, game plan wise, we'll throw that in as well.
Now, so I wrote them out and they're on the screen now. Everybody can see them. So we got curl, flat, snag, smash, levels, vertical, and spacing. Okay, yep. So these are my 6. Help me understand a little bit. Let's say I coach on your staff. Okay, let's say, listen, I feel like, right? Who doesn't, right? But I feel like I'm a solid coach, right? Okay. Teach me something I can execute in my time that I get. But listen, I've never coached in a system like this, ever. So help me understand, when the heck give me an idea of knowing when do I like what family, or am I just throwing stuff, seeing what's working?
No, a lot of it for me was basically through experience, figuring it out. I remember when I first took over as offensive coordinator, it was like, I had all these concepts I liked, but it was kind of like, when do I want to call this? When do I want, and there are some concepts that I would consider universal, meaning they can be great against any coverage or any look we get, right? And most of your concepts, you want to have answers for at least whatever you see. But for me, it's like curl flat family is something I love against zone. The team's going to play heavy zone on us, especially cover 3. We're going to run these type of routes. They're going to sit and find open spaces. A big one is we've had some really good tight ends over the past few years as well. And part of the curl flat, or our 6 concept, the tight end's working over the middle of the field. It's, referred to as like the Hank concept in West Coast terminology. And, if they're going to play zone, we have the tight end work over the middle. We have a curl flat. Like, we're going to space that out and try and find the best one. So I love that. I love snag against zone looks as well, right? Where we're just trying to kind of pick apart underneath. And a lot of times, because we RPO so much, those linebackers can be in conflict and they're trying to figure out what they're doing. And so I like quick game stuff. I like our spacing family, the snag family, because we're finding little open spots, and then there's other stuff like smash. I'll call smash based on how they're playing us too on the outside, or if the safety is there, right? Can we win that corner out? Or if their DB's playing way off, can we just, nickel and dime a 5-yard out from the slot receiver? And those are the times that I want to use the smash family. Or if they're afraid to get beat vertically and that defensive back is off a ways of our number one receiver, we'll just throw 5-yard hitch. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a big believer in just getting the ball in your guys' hands and then make the defense rally and tackle. It's not easy tackling out there. Right. And so it's not, as sexy as throwing 4 verts all the time, but it's effective, and we like to get it out there. So that's why I like smash, with level and vertical. Those are typically ones where maybe I'm trying to stretch the field a little more. If I'm seeing man, or I'm seeing safeties creep down a little more, trying to get in the box to help with runs, right? Now we've got more posts in those concepts, or not, streets, those type of things that we want to try and stretch vertically a little more.
One thing I know in the presentation, the wide receivers presentation, that I guess can't think of the right word for it. I found it super interesting. The idea they referred to, right? If you could run levels, and He said some teams are doing this in the NFL, right? And they call it one time and they're reading it high to low, then they call it again and read it low to high, and it's almost like getting a new concept. I thought that was really interesting.
Right, and again, when you get into I've been a big. You mentioned it last night, the R4 stuff. Like I think Dub Maddox has done a phenomenal job with that thing. I'm a big believer. I mean, I bought every book he has, and to me, I consider it like an operating system. And that's what I love about it, is because you can call the same concept, but based on the look you get, you can read it differently, right? If they're going to bring pressure and play zero or something, right, we're not going to be able to go through a whole progression of post, dig, shallow. So now we got to think, okay, they're bringing pressure. Can I win on the post? If not, I'm going straight to the shallow. It's a man beater running across, and so it changes it up how we can read it based on that too.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what the question's gonna be when I come back from checking in with the guys in the chat. When I come back from the chat, so up on the top of my screen, I wrote down our 6 passing families. I'd really like to get an idea of our run game, like just schematically up front, so I could put that list next to it. So I'm gonna come back to you in just a second after I check in the chat. I see Jeff Rogers out of Minnesota snuck in there up top. I didn't catch your name up there above Quiroga's at first, but welcome. Of course, Manuela and Stevens, welcome, fellas. And Defense in the house. Now, Defense has joined us before, and Coach, every time you come in here so far, I've forgotten where you're from. Let us know where you're from. Anybody else, if you're watching, please check in. Let us know where you're watching from. We love to just make connections. Again, don't hesitate. Hey, sometimes guys are carrying on their own conversations over there. Sometimes they throw out questions. We will try to get to everything. If you could do us a huge favor, leave us a thumbs up. And if you're really feeling nice tonight, click that share button. Let them know on Twitter that I'm here hanging out with Micah Hunsaker out of American Fork High School, Utah, the Cavemen. Coach, coming back to you, man. All right, I got the 6 passing families on the board. Help me understand on the ground, running the rock. Although you said almost everything is, in fact, you might have said everything is RPO.
Pretty much, with the exception of, very short yardage. Or
that's what I was wondering.
We have a goal line heavy package. But,
okay.
If we're talking, between the 10 to 10, middle of the field, all that, everything has multiple reads for the quarterback, whether it's throwing front side on a gift route or whether he's going to read a conflict player and throw a tag. But pretty much, so I would say it's at least 95%.
Yeah.
All RPO.
All right, I'm opening this.
Run concepts.
With defense is Brian Shivis. I knew that, Brian, man. And Brian's out of Michigan. We had a couple good conversations via Zoom. Talked some defense. All right, got my runs open. All right, help me understand. So, inside zone, right?
Yeah, inside zone's where we start. Always, it's kind of the base.
Inside zone.
We do, and then after that we have what I would term inside zone variations, where it's very similar, but again, just a little tweak. Our normal inside zone, backside tackle, for example, locks on. We don't want them getting downfield too much because we RPO.
Okay.
But we can also tag that where now we're going to run the traditional zone read that everybody knows, right? You're going to leave backside DN. We're going to read him.
Right.
That's a variation we'll throw in. Another variation of inside zone is split zone stuff that we see a lot. I love tight ends. I make them a huge priority in our offense. I think they're just difference makers. You get a good tight end that can run routes, catch the ball, but also block in the run game. I mean, you can get in and out of a lot of different formations without changing personnel and take advantage of a lot of things. So we use them a lot in split zone, those type of stuff. So those are like the main 3 inside zone.
Okay. So inside zone variations.
Yep.
Now you said you guys will carry some gap stuff.
We do.
Go ahead. Okay.
The one thing I was going to mention before that is we started working on what we term a wide zone a little bit. We've dabbled in outside zone over the years. We haven't been very good at it, but we're working on a wide zone this year, which I think I like. Just changing the aiming point for the running back and trying to get the line to move a little bit more and stretch it. So we put that in. That's probably the second thing we'll put in because it's, again, zone. And we can do the same variations on that as we do with the other ones. We
Sure.
can still read the backside. We can still split zone it, all that.
Sure.
So those are the main zone concepts and things we do. Then after that, we'll get into some gap or man schemes. I love counter. That's the next one we put in more. We don't necessarily, a lot of teams do like guard tackle, read, counter stuff. We do guard tight end.
Okay.
For whatever reason, something about moving two guys right next to each other. I know it works because it's beat us multiple times, but I have never been super comfortable with it. I like keeping a tackle. I like using our tight end and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're really pushing that one hard, guard, kick, tackle, wrap.
I like it.
Tight end wrap type of stuff. So do that one. Other man stuff, we do just your straight ISO, tight end. Bring the tight end in, he's ISO and he's working to a front side linebacker, lines working backside. That's a big one for us as well. We've done some single back power in the past too, backside guard pulling, leading up.
Now, when you run ISO, is that a different scheme though? Because I feel like you could almost that's just inside zone, but you're going to split it at the right spot and insert. Or do you consider it a different scheme?
The only reason why I would consider it a little different of a scheme is based on O-line principles. Instead of moving to play side, they are working backside, more like gap stuff, right? Like trap, those type of things where you're going to down block, kick out. And so our line is going to work weak side, and then the tight end will come up on that front side linebacker. Okay. So that's kind of why we have a variation of inside zone where the tight end actually is backside in a wing, and then the O-line just blocks their normal zone, and he'll insert on a backside linebacker as well. We call that like trail. So it's an inside zone trail. So we kind of have both. We have the ISO that works front side of it, and the trail is the backside.
Now, it's also worth pointing out, guys, in the chat, Jason Eddings in the house out of Southern California. Welcome, Coach Eddings. Glad to have you. I think it's worth noting that, the American Fork is a large school, over 2,000 students. They've got a lot of kids on the team, and, of course, 2 platoon, right? So now you've got guys who are offensive guys. So you can get a lot in, right? I mean, when I look at my own offense, I like to, if I'm speaking, I like to say how simple I am, right? But when I put it down on paper, I'm like, oh man, I just keep going. There's more. So everything adds up quickly. I got the 6 passing families. I got inside zone variations, wide zone, counter GY I wrote down, ISO, 1 back power. Yeah. Now, do we put a separate column for screens you're gonna carry?
We do have, we'll carry some screens as well, and every one of our screens is similar to RPO, but they're tagged with a pass. So it's, some people call it pass screen option or screen.
Okay, hold on a second. You're gonna have to tell me what that means, because again, I don't totally speak your language yet. For sure. Speaking of language, so we got a couple Brazilians in the house, Rob SG and Alexandre Ribeiro. And it's interesting because they're they have to work, they're working hard to make sure that they learn English, but they often say, they're like, well, and then there's football English. It's like learning another language on top of English.
It is.
I thought that was interesting. And I'm like,
everybody
I
uses
get it.
Different terms and different vocabulary, It's
right.
For real.
All right, I've started my screen list, and you don't have to name everything, obviously, but if you could just give us an idea of
So the main screens, I'd say there's 3 screens that I would consider our base or main screens we take. A traditional running back screen that's getting out, and
would that be like screen. A middle screen or a?
Yeah. It's more. We try and hit it
perimeter
more towards,
screen.
How would I say? More like to between the hash and the numbers. Okay. Kind of the alleyways where we want to hit it. And so we have that one. We have your typical tunnel screen, which is working back to the middle, from an outside receiver. And then we'll have one we call it's kind of a dual screen where they basically split. So the line goes one way or the other. I stole it from Clemson a few years ago. And they've got one screen option here and another screen option here. And so the quarterback just reads based on pre-snap look and throws it where he wants to go. But like I said with the other one, we have some just your traditional bubble. I mean, that's kind of a screen, I guess, right? Or a now screen. We use those as tags for our RPO. Okay. So those ones we use a lot. Those are normal. We don't have any linemen getting out. The 3 I mentioned are ones where we're actually getting linemen out to try and block on the screen.
Okay. Well, I want to say hi to Thompson McCullum in the house, checking in out of Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Mississauga. That's what I'm going to roll with. Mississauga.
Hey.
Officially, we're repping 3 countries right now in this in this ball talk. So welcome, Coach. Glad to have you. Well, this is install week. We're spending a week with the boys at American Fork. Speaking of the boys, I want to make sure it's an open invite to Coach Beam and any of your assistants on the last 2 nights, whether 1 or 2 wanted to join, and we'll just zoom everyone in. And if you want anybody else to have some input, I want to make sure that's an open invite for our last 2 nights.
Yeah.
But Coach Hunsaker's spending the week with us, and right now, last night we tried to talk some specifics of day 1, and now we're just kind of laying everything out, like laying out what the offense looks like. They got a high-flying offense. Coach, how do you keep an offense that slings it as much as you do from being from just being gunslingers? Does that make sense?
No, for sure. And I think sometimes when you go into a game, it's easy to fall into that, especially if it's working. But the things that you learn as a coach through experience is that, at least in my take, it's very hard to win games late in the year if you can't run the ball at times. You've got to be able to control some clock in different scenarios. And so, there have been games where we were able to throw it around all day, but the other team's offense may be good. And so they're keeping up score-wise, and it's like, hey, we don't want to give the ball back to them that quick. Maybe we need to slow it down. And we try and implement those. And I think a lot of it changes year to year, whether, we're able to do that effectively. A lot of it is personnel based, right? We have the line that our O-line has been good with pass pro. And a big part of it is we try and get the ball out quick. I don't want to hold it, we try and coach it up really well. So we don't actually take a lot of sacks, which is good considering how much we throw it. And, our quarterbacks have been fairly mobile, which helps as well, but we don't really try and run them that much. It's another thing that I haven't fully embraced yet.
Well, you would like the kid to keep playing, so
yes,
I get that.
That's the point. Like, even I've had years where they can, and I'm just like, you know what? I just, here and there, maybe late in the season for a little wrinkle.
Or like when you got to have it.
Yes, right? We can do that stuff, but I try not to run them around that much. But it's hard too, because I think you want to try and find a certain level, and you were talking about this, I know, in the beginning of the show, balance, right? And I mentioned this last week, for me, balance is a lot of things. Balance is getting the ball to all your playmakers. Balance is really, I'm just a big believer in making them defend everything. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't see it so much as just run versus pass, as in how are they defending everyone, right? If they're tight in the box, we're just going to throw it outside all day, or vice versa. If they're going to go wide, then we're just going to, try and take advantage of numbers in the box. And so for me, balance can kind of change based on what we're looking at. But ultimately, it's all about identifying your playmakers and making sure they're getting the ball, whether it's receivers. And, like anything, when you're successful, it comes down to talent. You've got guys, and we've been lucky with that. We've sent the last 3 quarterbacks on to Division I. We've spent, the last couple of years, we've sent about 4 or 5 receivers to Division I schools as well. And that's just where our talent's been too. So it kind of lends to throwing the ball a little
Yeah,
more.
I like that. I get some guys that, I'm talking ball with some guys, and I'm kind of part of the wing tee community, option family community. And I get guys that'll ask me, hey, I'm thinking this, and what do you think of this play? And I like, first time, almost every time I'm going, well, how good is that kid? Right. And they're like, he's our best kid. I'm like, well, it's a freaking great play then. How bad can it be? Yeah, he's your best guy. Great idea. He's your best guy. Randon says it's Mississauga, but now that you say that looks way better. Yes, okay. Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. I'm curious how close you are to Sault Ste. Marie, because we got some Chief Pigskin buddies in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada. Coach, we are down to our last 5 minutes. I mean, technically only a minute, but we're going to wrap it up. Here's what I want to do. Tomorrow night, I'd like to take it in the direction of communication, pace, tempo. Like, I would like to learn where, how what speed do we want to go? How are we changing? And like, how do we, and how are we communicating this, right? Yeah. And then I was thinking Thursday night, maybe kind of bring the flame in a little bit and go, hey, troubleshooting, right? And maybe if you'd be willing to share a couple clips via Huddle for Thursday night. Yeah, I felt like that would be fun to do too. So as we wrap it up here, I'm going to come back to you in a second, Coach. I've got up on the board the 6 passing families, your runs, your screens. I'm going to go check in with the guys in the chat and wrap up there. But while I do, if you could think of, is there anything else that you consider a part of the offense that probably needs to be written down for the squad? Because this whole list, I'm going to leave it up for tomorrow night too. Guys in the chat, I want to say thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Obviously, it's a lot more fun to go live when there are people around and you're chatting, so I really appreciate you guys. Be back tomorrow night at 8 to learn more from Micah Hunsaker and the incredible job they're doing out at American Fork. Under head coach Aaron Beam, a buddy of mine, we coached together when we were both just pups, when my hair looked way more like Coach Hunsaker's. Hey. Coach Hunsaker, as we wrap up, man, what did we leave out?
When it comes to install stuff, other than those things mentioned, one thing we put a lot into, I'll mention 2 things, are formations. We run a lot of different formations. Just so far this spring, in the 7 practices, we've already installed about 12 different formations. Because I'd rather install, it may sound weird, some may disagree, but I'd rather install a formation than a new concept. No, because it's just a different look, and the kids already know the concept, so they just line up in a different spot, run the same play. So we put a lot of those, and the other thing is motions. We do a lot of motions too. So we've already put probably 3 or 4 motions in, whether it's running back in the backfield. We do a lot of quick motion from the running back in the backfield. I like to get him involved in the pass game. Motion our slot a lot, try and change strength, different size, and even tight ends. We'll start them out wide, and then we'll motion them into the box and see if they adjust, or vice versa. If we start with them in the box, how are they, what are they going to do, and we'll move them out. So other than the things you've mentioned, I would say, formations and motions are 2 things that are very important to us, along with the runs and the passes.
Then we will attack some talk formations tomorrow night too, man. Yeah. Formations, pace, communication.
Awesome.
Would love to attack those things tomorrow night. I'm going to throw in a bonus question, Coach. When you get, for you, as you think through your offense, Friday night's coming around, you got to call it. You have, we all have our own way of organizing our play sheet. So whatever's there and it's in front of you. How do you stay out of getting stagnant? That's something I've found that, and for me, it seems to come at the same point in the game. For me, I get stagnant play calling wise. Do you have any tricks, or what has been good for you and your staff?
Those are bad feelings to have in the middle of a game, when all of a sudden you feel like, the opposite is better, when you feel like everything's working, everything's clicking. Yeah. But when I feel like stagnant, then that's when we'll try and throw just one little wrinkle in to see if, whether it's a different formation we haven't shown in that game, or, a different motion, or just, try and move the quarterback a little bit, and then also the other big thing is playmaker. Find a way to get the ball to the playmaker, right? And then let them make a play, because all it takes is one. If we get one play, then all of a sudden you got your mojo back. You're not so stagnant. Now you're thinking, so this is how they're going to play this formation or motion, right? And now we can start to build off that. It may put us a string of 5 or 6 good plays in a row. All of a sudden we're in the red zone, making something happen.
All right, man. As we sign off, tell us, at American Fork, who's the guy that gets told to put his mic up most often?
Probably Coach Manny. Yeah, he's way too loud. He knows that. He's a loud talker. But
put your mic up.
Come on, turn that off. Coach Beam may tell me to turn mine off. in between plays so he doesn't hear me complain or cuss out things too. So
that's when he just goes, I'm going to defense. Click,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. He's like, okay, we need a break on this right now.
Well, it has been great hanging out with you, Coach Hunsaker. Yeah. Really appreciate your time. Really enjoying this. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Coach,
let's do
good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks so much again, all you guys that came and hung out with us tonight. Before you leave, click that thumbs up. Appreciate the help. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.